That's right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We're right here live on Facebook. I just made it. Yes, don't let the rain come down. We've got rain coming down all around us. Penny, of course, Penny is kind of looking at me. She goes, I don't really think it's appropriate that I be on the air when I look like this. I've been out in the rain having a good time, jumping in mud puddles, trying to get in all kinds of trouble, and I'm a little soggy this morning, Mom. And she is, but she said, you said I got to do this job now, so I'm here. So anyways, you can check out Princess Penny on her own penny cam right here on WCRS Radio. Well, yesterday afternoon we had an excellent interview, one of our self-healthcare series that we're doing right here in coordination with, of course, Self-Regional Hospital Healthcare System, because let me tell you, we talk about the Wound Institute yesterday afternoon. I had no idea they had so many different aspects there. Of course, if you've had a wound that did not heal or was having trouble with, or you have diabetes and you know that this is a problem, you say to yourself, well, of course, I knew it. Well, I sure didn't. And I sure am glad I got to find out more about it. So that's what we found out. Excuse me. That's what we found out yesterday afternoon. We had Dr. White and Lauren Cook right here with us, and it was fascinating. So if you get a chance, you're looking for something interesting, well, why don't we just put it on Ann for a while? If you're looking for something interesting that maybe you didn't know about in the medical field, hey, check it out. Did you know that they still use leeches and maggots? And there's only one source that you can buy the maggots for medical use, out of California. That's one thing. Did you know that all the hyperbaric chamber stuff actually all came from the Navy, and that is still the standard today? Did you know with putting you in one of those, we can boost your oxygen up and make you a super person? No, that's not true. Anyways, I just thought I'd throw that in there. But anyways, it is a really good show from yesterday. So if you get a chance, it's on Facebook right now, WCRS. Or by, hopefully maybe by tomorrow, but by Monday for sure, it'll be on our website, WCRS1450am.net. Okay. So that takes care of that. Supposedly, on an international level, President Trump is saying they're very close to a deal. So how's that make you feel? That makes me feel good that they could be close to a deal. What was it, yesterday? Was it yesterday or day before? Gas was at $4.39 or something. I didn't know if I even saw what it was yesterday or paid any attention. So we definitely could use a little of that. Now, let me tell you. When people get in a tizzy over doing things, they really get in a tizzy to doing things, don't they? One of the things down there in the legislature yesterday, the House decided that they were going to take up redistricting. Yes, let's go for it. So I do think that I was a little misinformed at the time, but I do think, I'm not sure it actually affects, in fact, I'm pretty sure it doesn't, statewide offices, local offices, but what it does affect is the national offices. So could it affect Lindsey Graham? More likely to affect our House of Representatives, which is where President Trump wants to see if he could pick up a seat or two. Now, from what I am seeing, though, this is not a slam dunk as far as getting it done. But that is South Carolina House advances efforts to redraw the state's congressional districts. So that is part of what that is all about. But they want to, literally, what they really want to do is undo Congressman Clyburn's district. Now, the only thing that seems to be a problem, and it kind of depends on who you talk to. According to what I'm reading and seeing, on the federal level, the federal government has never come in and said that we have districts that are racial. Congressman Clyburn's district, it is a very weird shaped district. It's a long, narrow district. And so was that one done in order to give an advantage there? Maybe. But according to the federal government, it doesn't. So that is something that they're going to look at. They seem to think that they could pick up more seats. However, there is talk out there that they might be screwing with something they better not screw with. So what is it? We have five, six, seven. I think we have 7 legislators for the state of South Carolina. So this is in the House that it would affect. The problem is, what is it going to cost to do this? Well, you know, President Trump, he doesn't care what it's going to cost. He just wants the votes in Congress. And, of course, a lot of Republicans would like to have the Republicans safe. They are, in this upcoming election, the most likely to lose seats. So 5 weeks ahead of South Carolina's primaries, the House voted 87 to 25 along party lines Wednesday to add redistricting to a resolution governing what the legislature can do after the regular session ends on May 14th. The vote does not guarantee redistricting will happen, though, but they can come back and work on it. But House Republican leadership said they will get the mapping process started immediately, even as the measure allowing off-session debate still needs a 2/3 vote in the Senate. So just because it went through the House, you know, we have the deliberative and kind of crazy body in the Senate. House Judiciary Chairman Weston Newton told reporters a bill will be introduced Thursday morning and hearings will start Friday morning. We passed it. We're going to start the process and see where that takes us, is what Weston Newton said. What a new map would ultimately look like, the timeline and the cost to include that prospect of holding a separate statewide election for Congress remains to be seen. See, well, I guess that's what you want to do. That's what you're going to do. Democrats tried repeatedly to get answers that Republicans said didn't yet exist. They kept circling back to the response that the resolution approved Wednesday only opens the possibility of redistricting. And, of course, the Republicans are saying, hell no, we're going for the whole enchilada. We'll have another election. We got plenty of money in South Carolina. What the heck? Let's just do it. Anyways, the decision follows the U.S. Supreme Court ruling last week that threw out Louisiana's congressional map as unconstitutional, gerrymandering based on race. And we don't have that situation in South Carolina, even though a lot of people would say, well, yeah, you do. According to the federal government, no, we don't. So that's just, that's what they are looking at doing. So they're supposed to introduce legislation to start the process today. It says Representative Gilda Cobb Hunter, Democrat from Orangeburg, chimed in that Wednesday's vote was nothing more than an effort to bring the national chaos down to South Carolina. You know what? I'm with Gilda. I think this is just going to bring chaos. Under the House proposal, the redistricting effort would affect congressional primaries only, likely pushing them back to a later date. The primaries for other statewide and legislative races would proceed as scheduled on June 9th. Even so, primary ballots have already been printed. Absentee ballots for military service members and other voters overseas were mailed more than a week ago, and 193 ballots have already been turned in. And so that's early voting for the primaries begins May 26th. And what day is it? May 7th, yes. The attempted redraw put congressional candidates in limbo, beyond potentially extending their campaigns an unknown length of time. Some may be drawn out of the districts that they're seeking. Now just think about that. I think you're supposed to live in a congressional, you're supposed to live in the district. What if you got drawn out of your district so you no longer were in the district? Think about that. Among these candidates impacted is state GOP Representative Mark Smith of Daniel Island, who is among 10 Republicans, 7 Democrats, and two minor party candidates running for the Coastal 1st District. This, of course, was Nancy Mace's district. They've collectively raised more than $5 million for their bids, according to their last campaign filings. To cancel this election that's already underway, I worry that message would be to send those voters who have already cast votes in this election, they might not even want to vote again. See, I mean, there's a lot of more issues than just, oh yeah, let's redraw it. Of course, President Trump is driving the bus, and President Trump wants those congressional districts redrawn. So the Mark Smith of Daniel Island said, I think we need to be very slow and deliberate in this process. Well, Brian won't even have any representatives by the time November comes at this then, with what he's talking about. Timing of this and the implementation of this and the optics and the strategy matter. However, he still supported the effort. He voted with his GOP colleagues despite his misgivings. So that's where we're at. And I just think it is kind of crazy. I understand it, but we're already in primary mode. May 26th, early voting starts. Some of the people that are overseas are already cast ballots, 192, 193, something like that. So there you go. That's what's going on. Now, of course, Shane Massey had to put something in here. Let's see. Shane Massey, the Edgefield Republican, also raised concerns a redraw might not survive a challenge before the state Supreme Court. After the federal challenge on race failed, opponents of the map said in a state court on the argument that partisan gerrymandering violated the state constitution. But in his opinion, last September, Chief Justice John Kittredge warned the unanimous decision did not categorically condone partisan gerrymandering. A future challenge may present more fully developed constitutional violations. We are seeing, and will continue to see, state legislatures race to further minimize and perhaps erase the representation of the state's minority political party in Congress, Judge Kittredge wrote. These results may indeed be aligned within each respective state's constitution and laws, but the collectivity have the effects of diminishing our constitutional republic as a whole. This I don't know. Sometimes you open a door and you go charging through it and you're really excited that you did it. Sometimes you open a door and you go, let's just close that door. I don't know, but they have set the wheels in motion. The House has here in South Carolina to push this forward, and we'll see where this goes. All right, that was one issue. That actually is from the South Carolina Daily Gazette or the South Carolina Gazette. Lots of good information there, and I thought you should hear that. Now, there are other topics out there today, though. Don't think that's the only topic. It is an interesting one, though. If you follow politics, if you're into politics, it is an interesting one. Uh, yes, okay. However, here's the other one. You know how I felt about what they did last year. What are you talking about, Ann? You know, when they raised their pay and they did it in the dark of night when they were having a coming together of the Republicans and the Democrats in the for the budget. Just 6 of them made this decision, and then they got bat down. That's right, and it didn't go through. Well, they're not going to let that happen this year. No, no, no. South Carolina House agrees to raise legislative pay raises in the second draft of the $15 billion budget. The House agrees to legislative pay raises. The House also designated money. See, this is where you got to really pay attention at the end of session because they're trying to sneak stuff in here. Fortunately, we have reporters down there that are reporting on this. But anyways, the House also designated money for overruns at the Scout Motors plant and added about $300 million in earmarks. See, they wait and they do this right at the end, hoping nobody will notice. But Ann Eller, we're on it. There's a lot of other people that are on it too. But South Carolina legislators will get a pay raise later this year after the House added the increase into the chamber's second draft of the state spending plan on Wednesday. The proposal, added in a vote of 62 to 42, was part of the House $15.3 billion budget. See, I'm still stuck on million. Who cares about millions when you got billions, right? Which also included money for cost overruns at the Scout Motors manufacturing plant and approximately $300 million in earmarks. So the legislature requested funds for their home district comes on top of more than $1.3 million in senators' proposed project. Unlike the Senate, which paid for infrastructure projects only, House members asked for money to pay nonprofits. Another questionable because they've swore off this. And of course, last year there were no earmarks. This year, earmarks are in. I kept hearing this and I kept saying, I thought we were out of doing earmarks. Okay, it says the House and Senate still need to hash out their differences in the 2 different spending plans. But after the House matched the Senate's proposal for a pay increase, that clause will remain locked in place when negotiations begin. The clause will increase legislators' monthly allowance from $1,000 to $2,500 starting December 1st, following the November election. The timing is meant to avoid another legal challenge like the one that happened last year when they tried to sneak this in. Legislators receive an annual salary of $10,400 plus a daily stipend meant to cover meals and hotels while they're in session, plus mileage for one trip weekly. The last time legislators increased their pay was in 1995. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. But this is a huge raise. The raise would come at a cost of about $3 million to the state. Neither budget proposal included money specifically for that, but legislators could pull. Neither budget proposal included money specifically for that, but legislators could put money from extra revenue. I believe that the pay has been too low around here for a long time, said House Majority Leader Davey Hyatt, a Pickens Republican who is not running for re-election. On my way out, I hope I can help many of you folks that will be here for years to come receive a little bit more funding. The issue did not ignite the same fever as last year. But then it's interesting. One place where the House deviated from the Senate's plan was in paying for cost overruns at the Scout Motors plant in Blythewood. The Department of Commerce asked for $150 million to cover required upgrades to the site for environmental permits. See, you know what's interesting to me on this? This was brought up back in January. This is when they said, oh my God, we've got the cost overruns. Now, one of the questions I don't know the answer to. So what have they been done? What have they been doing? What have they been doing for the last January, February, March, April, May, for the last 4 months? But anyways, I don't know the answer to that. The Department of Commerce asked for $150 million to cover required upgrades to the site for environmental permits and road improvements leading to the plant. Neither the House nor the Senate granted the agency its request. But then at the end, just like they always do, the House added a clause allowing two other agencies, which oversee transportation and natural resources, to pull from a pot of money designated for paying off state loans, which has nearly $133 million more than necessary for payments required in the coming fiscal year. So can't you just see them sitting down there? They're going, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Where's the money going to come from? Oh, well, they asked for 150. We got 133 over here in this pot. I know. Let's use it for that. It's supposed to be used for paying off state loans, but we'll just use it for that so we can keep this project rolling. Now the problem is, and then who said this? Bannister said, we can't risk our reputation of the state by failing to pay for construction legislators said they would cover. We should pay our bills, the Greenville Republican told reporters after the vote. At the same time, though, Bannister said the state shouldn't simply cover the request without scrutiny. Oh my God, they're going to go for oversight? Using the state's debt service reserves is the best way, in my opinion, to look at it, Bannister said. Do you buy into this crap? Really? Do you buy into this crap? At the same time, though, Bannister said the state shouldn't simply cover the request without scrutiny. Using the state's debt service reserves, so now we won't have any reserves if something else pops up, okay, is the best way, in my opinion, to look at it. Both chambers asked the state's auditing council to examine the Department of Commerce requests, including determining whether the agency made the most cost-effective decisions possible and what caused the overruns. Let me tell you something. Since they've already done it and now they've added the money here, how hard is this auditor going to look at it? Well, unless somebody is saying, I want answers and you better get them to me, probably not a lot. So this is a dead issue. And my question is, why in January was somebody not looking at these cost of overruns? Why do we wait till May? Why do we wait till May to look at this and try to get the answers? This is what I don't know. All right, so we've got some comments here on our Facebook page. Let's see what we've got. Let's see what we've got. Oh, my goodness. Good morning, everybody on Facebook. Thank you for tuning in right here. Steph says, and they wonder why we do not trust them. You know, the problem is we don't trust them, but we keep sending them back, right? I mean, what? I mean, maybe we'll end up with some new blood in there, and there are some people that are not going back. You know, like, I'll vote for it, I'm out. Hey, you guys can fight about it. I'm not worried about my reputation here. And then Steph also says, what else does she say? I'm not saying that they do not deserve a raise, and I'm not saying it's not past time for a raise. But if it were me and I was in their position, I would not feel comfortable paying myself more than my constituents who are having a hard time buying gas and do not have health coverage. You know, that is so true. When they had the opportunity, and here they are right at session, and I'm sure they're not going to look at it, an idea of suspending the gas tax for 30, I think it wasn't it 30 days. They would not even consider that. And here we have gas over $4. I think it was $4.39 is what I saw the other day. And that topic is not even coming back up. That I just think that it would have been a real statement, and since it is an election year, particularly for most of your all of your House representatives and your legislators down here in South Carolina, if they wanted to do something nice, why didn't they say, let's do 30 days of lowering the gas price here and see if that helps the folks? Yep. But anyways, um, that is part of the problem. I also think that would it not have been a better idea to have phased this in? Is it really our fault that they hadn't done it in small? Nobody would probably have had a problem with the small bites. It's going from 10,000, God, I don't remember. Anyways, it's going to bring their total package with their stipends and all this stuff up to around $47,000. That's a huge raise. I think that is too much for people to have to absorb. Now, if they'd done a partial one year and then set up a partial the next year, but just to go ahead and dump it in there, the problem that we have in South Carolina, we don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem. Just like in that last story I'm talking about, and just like Scout Motors, this thing, nothing has been said. I've been watching that like a hawk. Nothing has been in the news about that, and all of a sudden, yeah, we've got money over here. Let's spend it. I'm not saying they should not have spent it, and I really, but if you were talking about getting an auditor after you're giving them the money, why didn't you audit what had been done to try to see future in the past? Had some of this money been able to come being clawed back? Isn't that the word they use? Clawed back. So that's my take on that. I thought that uh, yeah. Steph says you're exactly right. That is too much. Most people are lucky if they get a quarter raise. Isn't that the truth? And they go ahead and get the whole enchilada. And that's supposed to make us feel better about the people. Basically, basically, one of their arguments is that we need more diverse people down there. But you know what? It doesn't really matter about the diversity, meaning more younger people, more this, that, and the other. So making it so it is a livable wage. But let me tell you something. It's a part-time job. Do you know anybody that is, well, maybe somebody that was looking at it politically, but anybody that would say, sure, Anne, we will continue to pay you, or we'll have to suspend your pay, but we'll keep your job. You can just work 2 days up here, 3 days down there for January, February, March, 4 months. That'd be fine. Do you know of any job that does that? No, that's why it is. A, retired people. B, people that own their own businesses that have the flexibility to say, I'm the boss and I can do this. But what they think this would do would be to help get more people that are just regular folks. I don't think so because I can't think of a business that's going to say, unless they are very politically motivated and view that sending their employee down there is akin to getting some gimme coming back on their end. Sorry, that's the truth. So they should. James says they should all quit, renegotiate their contracts and terms. I've seen it work. Well, there you go. Yeah, I mean, we got a few months. We don't need anybody down there, anyways, right? They're getting ready to go on their break. They only work January through first part of May. But I do know this, in all fairness to our legislatures. You are listening to WCRS right here in Greenwood. But in all fairness to our legislators, many of them that I know, how sweet it is, many of them that I know do do work during the off season. They're in meetings. They're this, that, and the other. So I mean, is it just to May? That's disingenuous on my part to say that. I do know that they are meeting. I do know that they are working up bills to be able to present. So that's not quite true. But how do you put a regular person with a regular job going down there to Columbia and keep their main job? I don't see it happening. So that's just my personal opinion. Uh, a lot of new hires come in making more than the veterans. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, and on top of that, in order to run for office, it takes money to run for office. So, how many times have you seen somebody that couldn't put their own money into their campaign? Now they may get campaign contributions. Other groups and PACs may come behind you, but it is expected that you put some money in your own campaign. If you are just on working a regular job, you may not have that money to put aside to do that. So that's the word from Ann Eller, talker Ann Eller, right here on WCRS Radio. Lots of ideas. None of them make us, but none of them make us happy, right? None of them make us happy. But that's what we're dealt with. We'll see where that goes. But evidently, the price increase for our legislatures is in since the House has taken it up. All right. But I do think the thing with Scout Motors should have been an ongoing, but yet we heard nothing that I heard of. Nothing made the news, let's put it this way. I'm not going to say there might not have been some committee meetings on it or whatever, or somebody running behind the scenes. You know, those lobbyists that they have that do all that kind of stuff. All right, what else have we got here this morning? I need to finish up here. Penny's asleep over here. She goes, politics, boring. Anyways, let's see. What else do we have? Looks like we are stuck. Here we go. Okay, now we're moving here again. I think you're gonna just have to watch all this. South Carolina Senate budget includes $130 million for local projects, but zero earmarks for nonprofits. And then the House goes ahead and throws that in, but I don't see anything about that. We'll have to see what we can find out about what nonprofits. And I'm not against nonprofits, but I'm just saying, isn't that odd? I remember a budget when Nikki Haley was governor of the state, and they used to list out all the earmarks one after the other when they presented the budget. And she would go through and redline stuff out of it. Then it would go back to the House and the Senate, and they'd say no. Well, they'd vote on it, and they'd keep it in. You know, I don't know. Sometimes I get really, really tired of trying to understand the workings of all this. And I spend a lot of time working on this. So that's a little bit about what's going on there. What else have we got? Yep, Donald Trump pushes SC Republicans on redistricting. Well, they've made that happen, that's for sure. I think I think that we know so much to know not enough, right? I think so many times we hear so much different parts of the story that we really just don't know all of it. And they spend a lot of time hashing things out, going over stuff, and then at the end they just bam. They just push it all through at the very end, like making sausage. That's what they say. If you don't like sausage, don't watch it. Okay, in other news, Ted Turner. What a giant. What a giant in time he was. Do you remember when they said, "Oh, CNN won't make it"? No, no, CNN won't make it. And look, it did. Turner gave an entire generation of journalists, broadcasters, and communicators their professional start because they had that 24-hour news cycle. He was 87. He was, they used words like legendary, visionary, and trailblazer were constantly repeated. He was an adventurer who bordered on perpetual recklessness, a gambler with a penchant for extraordinary high stakes, and a simplistic soul whose personal life was as flawed and complicated as his professional successes were dazzling. Now, what an oxymoron is that? No, not always humorously as the mouth of the South. He was the real deal. What you saw with all his beautiful blessings and occasional dark curses, sometimes both at once, was what you got. He was really a visionary, though, when he thought about starting CNN and 24 hours news. This was world breaking. But you know, he also was very much into. What did he do? He bought thousands and thousands of acres in the Midwest, and he really had a lot of sides to him. I think about Ted Turner. I think about the last time I saw him on TV. I think they were doing a special on him. He had Alzheimer's, and I always thought, how somebody with a big brain, and he did have a big brain, could end up with Alzheimer's was just the pits, just the pits. It's the pits for anybody. But when you think about somebody who had such capacity and all these things rolled up in one package, it really, really was sad. And, you know, yesterday we did that story with what was her name? Sunny. Sunny, the computer bot that talked to Alzheimer's patients and had conversation with them, and that they found that this is such a good way to keep a person's mind working. I hope we see expansion of those type of things, and not just, it was only in 3 or 4 states that they were actually doing this. But what a way to stop Alzheimer's, which just robs everybody of their brain. But I remember seeing that he was out, I think, somewhere on his property riding his horse, and they showed all things like this. It says there were several keys to his success. First, he could spot opportunities others missed, such as the marriage of to his ownership, and then the Atlanta Braves. America's teams. In those days, the Braves went through a phase where players wore their nicknames on their back of their jerseys just above their team number. Turner told the player who bore number 17, "Your nickname will be Channel," resulting in free advertising every time the camera showed the guy. But see, that's merchandising. That's what I love about that. Uh, He did create the live global TV news coverage now that we suffer through because we're all addicted to some of us are addicted as to finding what's going on in the news. Anyways, I just wanted to say a big mention to him. I did hear something where Jane Fonda said he liked to talk so much she learned just to shut up and listen. I can commensurate with that. Okay, I am Ann Eller. This is WCRS Radio. There is so much out there There is so much out there to cover. There is so much that is wrong. Really hard to find what is right sometimes. I will say what I've seen for what is happening in our District 50 school district here is amazing. They are really making some good changes. I think most everybody is pretty happy with the choice since it's coming up on 1 year that Shane Goodwin has been superintendent of District 50. They also are having I think it's next week. Next week they are having a discussion about education in the area. It's through the chamber. I don't have the exact information. We will get to that information, but if you'd like to go to that, that should be really cool to be part of. Now, it's time for me to tell you about something I am very, very, very excited about. Yesterday I introduced it. Today I'm going to introduce it some more. You know that old line, something delightful, something delicious? Well, that's what it's all about at Chick-fil-A. That's right. You can do something for a group working in a business here in our area. You can you can give them breakfast from Chick-fil-A. How about that? Is that cool? All you have to do, just call or text WCRS Radio at 864-332-9355 and share why you think that this business, this group, I mean, we really at Chick-fil-A want to delight and surprise a group of employees in our community with just something extra special. So if you know a group that's underappreciated, works hard, doesn't really have to be underappreciated, just a business that works hard, and you'd like to say, I know this business would love a little love from Chick-fil-A, then 864-332-9355. You can text it. You can just call with a telephone call. And if your group is picked that you turn in, you will get a delightful surprise from Chick-fil-A too. So we're going to be doing the first one. I believe it's May 21st. So you need to go ahead and get your entries in. But this is an opportunity to do something nice for a group that you know that works so hard. And yes, you can nominate your own business. Yes, you can nominate your own business. But please tell us why you think that this is a good thing for them, and make sure that we know who you are so that we can give you a delightful and a little surprise to make your day a little brighter. Hey, I'm Ann Eller. That's going to do it for me. Let's see if we've got anything more on Facebook Live here this morning. I nominate WCRS. They can bring you breakfast and coffee while you're promoting their business. Thanks, Steph. I like it. I like it. Thank you so much. All right. Anyways, you can do that on WCRS, the hotline, the information line, 864-332-9355. That's 864-332-9355. Let us know who you would like to surprise and delight and say, that's a nice thing. And that's what we're trying to do with Chick-fil-A and WCRS. We're trying to do a nice thing. So let me see. Do we have anything else here we need to cover before I say adieu? I do not know. I was going to try to see if we had any other messages coming in this morning. 864-332-9355. Penny is looking at me and says, I nominate myself. That's right. I nominate myself. Okay. There you go. All right. Well, anyways, I'm looking for more entries so that we can pick one. That's right. That's right. I did forget about that. Thank you for telling me that. National Day of Prayer service at the courthouse at noon. as a rain date. Well, do you know if the National Day of Prayer service? No, I do not know, but they were supposed to be having the National Day of Rain, of prayer service, and I do not know. I have not gotten anything new here this morning. But yes, was supposed to go on. They did say that the rain was supposed to be out of here by noon. I did see that just a few minutes ago. Penny's going. Penny's going. You said you were getting off the air. Why aren't you getting off the air, Ann? Okay, let's check out the weather. Yeah, we'll check out the weather. 65 feels like 65. Looking at a high of 79. Next hour, chance of rain 93%. What I see here on mine is thunderstorms likely to continue through 12 p.m. Let's see. At 1 p.m., at 12 noon, 45% chance of rain. At 1 p.m., 18% chance of rain. By 2 p.m., we're down to 3% chance of rain. So I don't know if that will go on or not. If something comes back in, I'll be sure to let you know. Hey, 864-332-9355. Please nominate who do you like? Who do you think needs a little love from Chick-fil-A? A great way to start the day. They're going to give you Chick-fil-A breakfast for a bunch right there at their business. So please nominate them. And remember, if you have a group, if you have a business and you want to nominate yourself, go for it. It's okay. That's going to do it for me. Penny, what have you got to say here at the end? Penny, you want to look at the camera? Look at the camera. Hey, look at the camera. Look at the camera, Penny. Thank you. All right, we got it. This is WCRS Radio. I'm Ann Eller. I'm sure there was something else I was supposed to talk about, but that's going to do it for me. I'm actually going to go have a delicious and delightful breakfast. So thank you very much. Hope you have a good one. No show this afternoon. Be back tomorrow morning right here on WCRS Radio. Bye-bye, everybody. Drop the curtain. This is Penny's favorite part. Drop the curtain. Cue the music in. Okay, well, of course, I didn't put it on the right thing because I was running behind here this morning. So let's see if we can get some music. Take it away. Bye-bye, everybody.